Hello Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's English lesson. Now in our English lesson yesterday, we looked at subordinating conjunctions and we focused on the conjunctions if, when, because, after and before. Now I wonder how much you can remember from yesterday's lesson, but we'll find out in a little while with our retrieval quiz. Well, today we are moving on to recognising and writing questions, because when we write our letters from Florence Nightingale to her family back home, we are going to want to have to ask them lots of questions so that they can reply to our letters. So by the end of the lesson, you'll know the difference between what a statement is and what a question is. And you'll know the different parts that make up a question so that then you can write your very own questions to use in your letter. But as I said, before we get on with today's learning, let's see how much you can remember from yesterday. So here you've got 3 sentences, and in these sentences, you are missing the subordinating conjunction. So I must tidy my room. My mum gets home. I didn't go to school. I was poorly. The sun comes out. We will go to the beach. Okay, now in some of these you can have more than one answer. See if you can find out which ones you can have more than one subordinating conjunction in. Okay, so pause the video now and have a go. Okay, Year 2, so let's go through them together. Well, the first one, I must tidy my room. My mum gets home. Can you have I must tidy my room because my mum gets home? No, that doesn't make sense, does it? And I must tidy my room if my mum gets home wouldn't make sense either. What about I must tidy my room when my mum gets home? Well, you could have that. She might be helping you to tidy your room, but maybe your room's messy, so maybe you don't want your mum to see it. So therefore you could use I must tidy my room before my mum gets home, just so she doesn't see how messy it is. Okay, the next one. I didn't go to school. I was poorly. Okay. I didn't go to school after I was poorly. I didn't go to school before I was poorly. No, that doesn't work. I didn't go to school when I was poorly. You can have that one, can't you? You don't go to school when you are poorly. I didn't go to school because I was poorly. There we go. So I didn't go to school because I was poorly. So that is the reason why you didn't go to school, because you were poorly. Okay, so I've gone with that one. But as I said, you can also have, okay, the last one. Something, the sun comes out, we will go to the beach. Because the sun comes out, we will go to the beach. No, we can't have that. If the sun comes out, we will go to the beach. Well, you can have that, because that's the condition, isn't it? Only if the sun comes out will we go to the beach, but if it doesn't come out, we won't go to the beach. Before the sun comes out, we will go to the beach. Well, before the sun comes out probably means it's raining, so you probably wouldn't want to go to the beach before the sun comes out, because the beach you like to go to in the nice weather. What about when the sun comes out, we will go to the beach? Oh yes, you could have that, couldn't you? And you could also have after the sun comes out, we will go to the beach. So I've got if here, but as I said, we can also use when and after in this sentence. Did you spot the ones where you could use more than one subordinating conjunction? Fantastic, well done. Okay, so let's move on to today's learning. So as I said today, we are looking at questions, and here we have a house under the grass, so it's underground basically. And I want you to think of as many questions for this picture as you can. You need to find out as much information as you can about this picture. So pause the video now and have a think and talk to the person you're with, if you're with somebody. What questions do you have about this picture? Okay, Year 2. So did you come up with lots of different questions? Well, so did I. I came up with the question, who lives there? Okay, who lives in this house? Why is it underground? And then I thought, well, where does the path lead to? Can you see that there's a path? Where does that path lead to? What does the house look like inside? Who waters the flowers at the front of the house? How do you enter the house? Okay, listen to all of these questions. Well, you already know how to form a question, but you need to know how to recognise a question and how to add all of the different parts when you are writing them. Okay, so here we have some punctuation marks. Oh, we've got the full stop, looking very angry. We've got the question mark and we've got the exclamation mark. Now, when do we use each of these punctuation marks? Could you pause the video and have a think for me? Okay, year two. So the first one, the full stop. Well, we use a full stop at the end of a statement, don't we? Like, I love strawberries, full stop. That is a statement that tells you something, doesn't it? When do we use the exclamation mark? Now, we used these earlier on in our unit of work, didn't we? When did we use the exclamation mark? Ah, yes, that's right. It was for our exclamation sentences when we started them with how or what. When do we use the question mark? Yeah, fantastic. There's a clue in the name. We use a question mark when we're asking a question. However, in some of your past work, sometimes we forget to add the question mark to make it clear that it is a question. So we need to make sure that we are always using a question mark if we're writing a question. So let's have a look at one of the questions I came up with for that. Well, I said, who lives inside the house? Now, what features do you recognise in this question? What are the different parts that you can see in my question? Well, yes, like any sentence, a question also starts with a capital letter. A question must always start with a capital letter. Now, what else does a question start with? Well, this starts with the word who, okay? Now, we've looked at questions before when we did our exclamation text. Can you remember what who is called? What type of word is who? Yes, fantastic. It's one of our question words, isn't it? So there we go. We have who that's starting our question because who is a question mark, a question word that always starts our questions. Okay. What else do you notice about my question? Who lives inside the house? Ah, yes, can you see our friend? The question mark at the end. So we always need to make sure when we're writing a question, we have a capital letter, we have a question word, and at the end, we have our question mark, okay? There's our question mark from earlier. Now, how would I answer this question? Can you pause the video and have a think of an answer for this question? You might not know, but just think of a possible answer. Okay, year two, did you think of a possible answer for the question of who lives inside the house? Well, I had a go too, and I came up with a statement because a statement answers a question. So my statement was, some fairies live inside the house. Okay, so that is who lives inside the house. Can we answer a statement? No, we can't, can we? Because it's telling us a fact. It's telling us the fact that some fairies live inside the house, whereas a question is asking for that information. So we can always answer a question. So, as I said, our question earlier started with the word who, which was one of our question words. Now remember, we have looked at the 5 W's a lot in history, and we've also looked at them in English. And they are when, where, why, what, and who. Okay, so those are our 5 question words. And a lot of our questions will start with these 5 question words. And then we also have the question word how. Now, when do we use each of these question words? And it's important to know this because when you answer questions, for example, in your reading, you need to know what sort of information you are looking for because you're looking for a statement in the text that is going to answer the question. And you need to know what piece of information the question is asking you by looking at the question word. So we have how. Now, how, like, how are you? How does this machine work? How do you cook pasta? Okay, how do you boil pasta? So those are all asking for an explanation, okay? So you're going to say, how are you? And the other person will explain, I am good, thank you, or I'm not so good. Okay, so explaining how they feel. You could have, how do you boil pasta? And then the other person will give you an explanation on how you boil pasta. So when you use how, you're always asking for an explanation, for someone to explain something to you. Okay, then we have when. When do you go to bed? When do you wake up? When do you go on holiday? What sort of information is that asking you for? Yes, you're right. It's asking you for a date, a time, a year, or maybe a season. Okay, it's asking you for a time. Okay, so when is your birthday? My birthday is in April. Okay, so that is asking you for a date, a time, a year, a month, or a season. Okay. What about where? When do we use where? Yes, you're right. We use where when we're asking for a place. So where is the library? Where do I go to have my lunch? Where do you live? Okay, those are all asking for a place. Okay, you need to, in your statement, to reply to the question, you need a place. Now we now have why, what, and who. Could you pause the video and have a think? When do we use those question words? Okay, year two. So why? When do we use why? Why is it raining? Why won't my computer work? What am I asking for there? Yes, I'm asking for a reason. You could have, why don't you like cake? I don't like cake because it is too sugary. Okay, so therefore you are giving a reason why you don't like cake. So there you go. Why is for a reason. Then what? What is what asking you? Well, what is asking you for a specific thing or an object. So you could say, what is your name? And they will tell you their name. You'll say, what is that? They might say, that is a tree. Okay, so you are looking for a specific piece of information, a specific thing or a specific object. Then you have who. Now, when do you use who? Yes, you use who when you are asking about a person. So your statement in reply to the question will include a person. So who is the Prime Minister? Who are you? Who is that? Who is your teacher? Okay, all of those are going to have a statement about a person in the reply. Okay, fantastic. So those are our main question words. Now, there are some other question starters that you can use, but we're mainly going to stick to the question words today. I'll explain these to you just in case you want to use them in your questions. So, did you have a nice time on holiday? Did you see my friend at the park? Okay, and then we have have. Have you seen my glasses? Have you had a good day today? Then would you? Would you like some cake? Would you like an umbrella? Okay, and then we have can or could. So can you pass me the butter? Could you pass me the butter? Can you cut me a slice of cake? Okay, so those are other question starters that you may use, but again, they are not part of our 5 W's and how, okay, which are the main question words.